to the computer. Now we're on the computer.
Okay. Looks like we have a quorum. Can we get a roll call, please?
Absolutely. We have Chair Ganella,
Here.
Vice Chair Garton,
Here.
Board Member Montanti,
Here.
Board Member Anderson is absent. Board Roberts.
No.
David's here.
David's here.
Oh, okay. Board Member Roberts.
Here.
Board Member Ramirez, he's just coming in now, I believe.
Here,
Hi,
hello
Chris.
everyone.
And Chris, welcome.
Hi, Chris.
Good to see you.
And then Main Street Meredith is, she's gonna try and jump on later. She had another meeting.
Okay.
Have a quorum.
Okay. Are there any members of the public on besides us?
Not yet, it looks like.
Then we'll defer public comments. If we have people join later, we could always ask them if they have a comment.
Yeah, we do ask that twice, so.
Okay. Board member comments. Any comments from any of the board members here?
Well, I just wanted to ask Faith or Jasmine if there's been, the governor's relaxing the mandates on February 15th. I wonder if any news from the council about us meeting in person anytime soon.
So I did have a meeting regarding boards and commissions this morning with the city manager's office. That was one of the items that was discussed. That is scheduled. Council's going to discuss some of their guidelines citywide, which will be inclusive of conversations about board meetings and commission meetings this Thursday at council. So we'll have a little more directive thereafter. I think they're considering making some changes based on the state's changes that they're making. So I'm glad to hear that the discussion's happening. I'll just also mention something that a couple of representatives made a mention of was also the timing of commission meetings. So I think that there is some desire to have further conversation about the 5:30 start time and how challenging it is for some staff who, most staff work 10-hour days. So people are coming in at 7 a.m. and when meetings go to 7:30, it can be really challenging. So I was going to mention that, but since you brought up that discussion, I wanted to make sure that you were aware that there are some continuing discussions about how board and commission meetings are managed. And that was one of them, meeting in person.
That's hopeful news. So
Yes.
maybe we can go backwards again.
Agreed.
Jasmine, anything on the mask situation?
That again will be discussed with council, and then they'll give us an update in terms of how they want us to implement things. I know I'm going to stay kind of abreast. We've got some big special events coming up, modernism, and we've got some events downtown that may or may not require masks at them, or vaccine checks. So I will be tuning into that and getting updates, and once I have them, I'll make sure I report back to the board.
And then I just have one last comment. I have to get off about 6:30.
Okay.
I have a class tonight, and I'm just wondering if we can spread out street fair and bring it down the street a little bit more towards Bristow.
So Faith and I had a meeting last week where we're just kind of talking about a few things that we wanted to work on and things that we can improve. And I'm pretty sure a little bit later on, we were going to talk about vendor recruitment, because that's something that Faith really wants to get back in the habit of, so that we can increase vendor participation at the event. So I think that once we can get more vendor participation, it'll allow us to really extend the street further southbound. But I think that's a bit of the hindrance right now, is that we don't have as much participation as we normally would at this time. COVID and kind of taking that year off has really played a part in kind of the logistics of the event and participation that we are used to at this time frame. So yes, Julie, absolutely, it is constant on our mind. And I know Faith has done a little bit of outreach in terms of trying to get some sort of kind of exciting element that we could put towards the end of the street to really draw people down that way. So as soon as we have some more confirmation on some of those things that she's working on, we will report back to the board.
Okay, I have someone submitting an application for something kind of fun. He's going to be speaking with you down the road. It's just an entertainment thing. So,
Wonderful. Yeah, that's what we
Okay.
need.
okay.
Okay, and I had one other question, Jasmine. Any update on the discussions with the city attorney about the cannabis vendor?
Yes, so I actually spoke with their representative today, and they are going to draw up the appropriate documentation. We kind of went back and forth a little bit about what it is that they're doing, whether it'd be allowed or not allowed, but ultimately, based on the information that I provided them from what I've seen taking place at the event, it does constitute as breaking the guidance provided by the state. So they're going to work on it on their end. I did speak with them today.
So they're working on documentation, but the end game is that documentation would be delivered along with a revoke of.
Correct.
Got it. Okay,
Correct. Yes. Mhm.
very good.
And that's the constant community. I talked to someone today who contacted the office about participation, and we're just kind of keeping that same message of letting them know that this is a state guideline. It's not a city guideline. It's not a board guideline, but it is a state guideline that our city attorney is requiring us to enforce,
Okay.
so that people who are inquiring about participating are aware that we're enforcing a state guideline.
So Julie, that answers to the discussion you and I had about that other vendor that you said had asked you.
Right, Nona
yeah.
actually had somebody, I guess, a member now asking about that. So they will or will not?
Will not.
Will not. And
Will
I
not.
bet you that's who
Good.
I spoke with today, Julie, because they said they contacted the chamber.
Right, I agree with it. I 100% agree with it. I don't think children or anybody, it's a family event and should not literature be sent out and get into their hands. So I definitely agree with that as well.
All right, so any other comments before we move on? Okay, moving right along. Any correspondence?
We do have one. I did send it out with the revised agenda. And that is from the vendor Just Chillin'. Did you guys have a chance to look at that?
Yep. Yes,
So for anybody who hasn't had a chance, just really quick, Just Chillin' sent us a letter requesting that we consider putting vendors back on Tockwitz. If you remember, Tockwitz used to be the farmer's market, and now that it's not populated, they say that they're suffering on Thursday nights. They were doing a lot more business when they got more foot traffic down there. So they were making a request to ask if we can consider moving some of the vendors back onto Tockwitz. But we are at this point, Jasmine, using, I forgot the name of the street where Maryland is, as our farmer's market, right?
Museum Way.
Same way.
Same way.
Am I sorry?
That's okay.
So we are using that as the farmer's market, right? So if we were to consider doing anything over on Tockwitz, what would it be?
So at this point, the only thing we would really consider at Tockwitz would probably be just some special events. You know, we did our Halloween event there. If we do something for our birthday celebration, we'll do it kind of in that vicinity. But the ability to extend vendors down Tockwitz Canyon to Indian is just not a viable option for us right now, because our concentration is really to fill the street on the south end. So once we can fill in the south end, then we'd be more than willing to have the discussion of what it looks like to fill in on Tockwitz Canyon. But right now, our focus is really the south end of VillageFest.
How about entertainment vendors as they come along, one-time entertainers, or if you know, that might be.
The issue that we have with that is that Oscars has entertainment out on their patio. So we have a bit of a conflicting sound that happens.
That would be a noise fight. Okay.
Yes, and we've had that fight before, and you know, we're there to enhance downtown. So if they have entertainment outdoors, we try not to conflict with them. And they have told us they want to continue to have outdoor entertainment.
So then I guess we need to respond to that letter, Faith. Is that right? Are they expecting a response from us?
He sent a letter. I have been emailing with him, so I'll go ahead and respond with him via email.
Yeah, and just let them know that we're still populating the street, and as VillageFest grows, there is a possibility of that, but right now it's not in the cards.
Right, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Okay, all right. Any other correspondence?
That's it.
All right, consent calendar. I make a motion that we approve the agenda, the two that were sent to us, because there was an amendment to it, or there was an annex to it, I should say. So I make a motion,
A second.
seconded by Celia. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. Approval of the minutes. Everyone have a chance to see the minutes? I looked at them, they looked right to me. Everyone good? Okay, who wants to make a motion?
I move that we accept the minutes.
Okay, motion by Celia, seconded by
I'll second.
Julie. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, moving right along. Now, we have, what, 6 vendors tonight?
Yes.
However, it doesn't look like anyone's here.
I don't
so
see any of them.
why don't we start with the Comfort Inn, since they're just adding an item? Are they intending to come, or were you letting them know that we were just
No, they just are adding. They're just adding the shoes, the chocolate shoes.
Okay, so this is a
So
food vendor that
it is,
already
yes.
serving, and just.
And she actually does make the shoes. She does pour them.
You know, it's funny, I had asked you if it was a typo, and now I remember that I've seen them.
Yeah.
Old brain. Okay, so anybody have any questions or issues with that for us to vote on this vendor to add that item? It's a Valentine's Day, Easter holiday.
Yeah.
So I make a motion that we approve Comfort Inn to add the chocolate shoes for their holiday events.
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Julie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so 5C is approved.
And I just
Looks
like, someone just came in.
Cheryl
5E.
Felista.
5E.
Okay,
5E.
on the other page. Bear with me. Okay, here we go. So that is, oh, I'm sorry, that was 5E. I was looking at the old sheet. My apologies. Cheryl, can you unmute, please? And can you start your video? Can you start your video? Actually, Faith, you may need to start your video. Oh, no, she
There
can't.
she is.
Here.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hello.
So can you just, oh, I see, you are Crush Cookies.
Yes.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes to present what you want to do and your interest in VillageFest, and then there will be questions possibly from the board members, and then we'll take a vote, okay? So you're on, go for it.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Cheryl Eaton. I am the owner of Crush Cookies and the home of Fluffy Balls, Nutty Balls, and Naked Balls, which is a home family recipe cookie, all natural, really delicious. And this really all came about because through COVID in my promotional business, I would always gift my clients our family recipe cookie with a thank you note. And during COVID, everybody was asking for my cookies. So I decided to give them really cheeky, fun trademark names and sell them as a cookie with a purpose, because I belonged to the Hollywood Chamber at the time, and they mentioned how much they needed essential workers. They were taking care of the children's of the essential workers. So I decided to create a cookie with a purpose and give $1 from each bag to the Boys and Girls Clubs of that city. So when I sell in a different city, for instance, sometimes I sell at Kitchen, those proceeds from the sales will go to the Coachella Boys and Girls Club.
Mhm.
And then in Palm Springs, it will go to the Boys and Girls Clubs of Palm Springs. So that's how that works. And if I'm involved in an event, then it would go to that nonprofit. But I want to be a part of VillageFest because I hear it's a wonderful venue. I've walked it myself. I really enjoyed it. I'm immersing myself in this community. I came out here to be with my family during COVID, and like a lot of other people. And my parents have lived here for over 18 years, always came out to visit, but really never left the house, and really have experienced a lot of beautiful things in the desert here and decided to stay. And then really get involved in community. I'm an ambassador for the Rancho Mirage Chamber. I'm involved in the community and help businesses as well as get my cookie message out to the community.
Can we,
You
see-
also,
yeah, can we see your product and the packaging and so forth?
I didn't have that prepared because I sent in all the information to everybody and I didn't realize that that's what you would want to see.
Do you
They're
also
fresh, they're
carry-
like, I have a delivery tomorrow and they're like, I'm baking this evening, packaging tomorrow, and that delivery will be delivered, that 10-bag delivery, but I don't have anything necessarily packaged right now.
so do you also carry the sweaty balls as well?
I was thinking the same
Yeah,
thing,
no,
Julie.
hold on, because I do have some packaging out. I'll show you what the packaging and the logo
Okay.
looks like, because it really, getting involved in the community, and when I decided to launch my cookie, I went to the different businesses and said, I hope to be at VillageFest soon, and you can pick up orders there if you want, but I wanted to introduce you to a new cookie you can also buy online, and I was giving out samples to different businesses in the communities, but I have some packaging on my table right now because I am packaging tomorrow morning. So hold on.
Went right over her head.
I don't think so. That joke.
Okay, so this is what Fluffy Balls looks like. Can you see that?
You know
No,
what happens, because you're using a background, it's fading away and so
It's
are you.
fading away.
Oh,
You have to turn the background off,
get
I
rid
think.
of it.
It is a cool background, by the way.
Thank you. So. Just on top. So which one? I would just the regular spray. No. No. I'm not sure how I would do that. I'm
It's
sorry, I'm not
actually in
tech savvy.
your
can you
settings.
try holding up the packaging
Hold in front of
right in front of you, not off to the side, because you see, no, that's not
It
working.
disappears there.
Oh, there it is. Don't move.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so there's cellophane bags with your logo on the front and a label.
And then label on the back.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and I sent pictures with my intent letter to the board
Mhm.
for review, showing what the tent looked like and everything. I went, because I am in the promotional merchandising business, I went really all out with my tent. It's fully decorated with the Fluffy Balls pink and light pink and light yellow, full on background, and then big Fluffy Balls. It has my crush cookies .com on the front. It's really pretty.
And Faith, you took a look at that and it actually meets the standard, right, for the booth requirements?
Yes,
Okay, perfect. Okay. Other questions? Anyone? Okay, can I get a motion on the floor here?
I just looked it up. You can see the website has the packaging, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Ah, good idea.
Let me look it up too.
Yeah, I passed the packaging by the ambassadors at the Rancho Mirage Chamber, a couple of suggestions, and everybody seemed to really like to see the cookies and thought it looked really homemade and really liked the feel of that. And that the logo is a little bit, it's cheeky, but it's kind of retro, you know, kind of groovy. It's fun.
Where did you get the website from? How'd you get the website, David? Help me here.
Off the app, crushcookies.com.
Okay. Try that one more time.
Do you do holiday ones as well?
No, not right now. I'm sure when holiday comes around, I'll probably think about how to package it for holiday. I see myself definitely changing the packaging later, but I'm just not sure what that's going to be. I have a food consultant that advises me, like, you know, to make sure that it's all recyclable and eco-friendly. So that's really the goal, is that I have recycled packaging, but I would like it to be pretty as well, you know, and if it could tie in like for every holiday, that would be great. You know, whether
Great.
it be Easter, whether it be a Jewish holiday, whether it be Christmas.
And are you
Thanksgiving.
wanting to be a year-round vendor or seasonal or what?
I would love to be year round, but I have to start out seasonal. I mean, my business, oh God. Like I said, I'm in the promotional products industry. If you go to Crush Promos, you'll see I do branded merchandise. Done it for 30 years. And I took really big hits during this COVID. So I really have to kind of be very careful on, you know, how I approach with the cookie and not overextend myself. So I figured I would do seasonal first, and then, you know, as I grow, then I could do annual.
So can you tell me, are the price range, and are there 4 multiple cookies in a bag, or how is it a dozen?
Yeah, really, it is a gourmet cookie, all natural ingredients. It's 12 for the fluffy balls. It's 15 cookies to a bag for $12. The price doesn't change, but the quantity of the cookies does. On the nutty balls, because they're made with walnuts and pecans and it's all natural, you know, there's no preservatives in them, a natural preservative, but there's only 12 cookies to a bag.
'Cause they're more
And
expensive
with
to make.
naked balls, there's 15 cookies to a bag. So I mean, there's a lot of cookies to a bag for that amount of money. I'm actually not making that much per my food consultant, but I really want to get it out there. I want people to fall in love with it. I've gotten, if you go to my testimonials, I've got rave reviews from the Palm Springs baseball league team there, the guys there. I took samples in and they loved it. You'll see the ambassadors of different chambers. You'll see a lot of great testimonials.
So are we ready?
Market first, make sure everybody loved it.
Are we ready to make a motion?
I think we are. Yep.
Go ahead, Dan.
I make a motion that we accept this vendor for the farmer's market at VillageFest.
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Julie. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Cheryl. Welcome to the VillageFest family.
Thank you.
Faith will work out the details with you because it's an orientation and stuff before you get started.
Okay.
And we'll see you on the street. I look
Thank
forward
you.
to
Thank you so
tasting them. They
much. I
look good.
appreciate it. Thank you.
I
for
make
your
something
time.
similar, but with cashews. But yeah, they look really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Excellent.
right.
You make
Okay.
shreddy balls.
Yeah.
Only for you, Jules. All right. So here we go. The next vendor.
Thank you.
On the list, we'll start at the top of the list one more time. You're welcome. It was really great to meet you. El Shami LLC, Khalid, French yogurt, pastries, and bread. I see Khalid is on. Khalid, you have 3 minutes. You'll have to unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes to present your product and your interest in VillageFest or whatever, and then we'll ask questions and deliberate a vote. Okay?
You're muted.
Please unmute yourself.
Khalid, you're still on mute. You can unmute him if you're the host, Faith.
Oh, yeah, you can hear me now, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
we can now. Okay.
Awesome. Sorry about that.
No.
Okay, about myself, my name is Khalid Shami, and I'm 35 years old. I started doing this business since 3 years now, and I'm focusing on the desert areas, some like Palm Spring, La Quinta, Palm Desert, Rancho Mirage, Indian Wells. I have most of these markets doing and running on this time and doing a great business. I am a second party from Chopin Bakeries. It is my responsible from where I'm getting my products of however it's yogurt or pastry or bread. Everything is pre-packaged and just selling directly to the vendor, ready to eat. No need to prepare anything on a market. Everything is organized well, has ice chest, and very safety and healthy and very delicious.
So it says yogurt, pastries, and bread. So can you define that a little bit more for us?
Of course, I am selling 3 different kind. My first product is the French yogurt. The French yogurt is a French style yogurt. We do it by kefir cheese, and we melt it with organic and fresh chopped fruits, and it's gonna be ready to eat on the spot. And I'm also selling pastries, some like croissants, some like danishes, muffins, tart, and the bread was a different kind of bread, some like the sourdough, and sourdough with the flavors like sourdough with olive, sourdough with the rosemary, sourdough with garlic or a cheese jalapeno, or the whole wheat bread. Everything as a pastry, and the baking stuff is baked daily and fresh, selling fresh on a daily basis. We are not storing any kind of bread or pastries for the next day. However, if leftover is coming from the yogurt or pastries or bread, we are just destroy it or just give it to the charity or something like this.
So where is the product baked?
The product made in Chopin Bakery in Laguna Hills.
Wait, so basically you're not making it, it's actually made by a bakery and you're sourcing it?
Yes, yes.
Are you in the Palm Desert certified market?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I've had your products and they are very good.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I think I remember you too.
How could you?
Your
How
face
could
is
you
similar
forget
to
you,
me.
you really. So the breads and the pastries and the yogurt are all made at that bakery.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions from anyone?
So because he's farmer's market, that's okay?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
It's very good product. I've had it several times. Very
Okay.
good.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Khalid? Anyone?
I'm fine.
Okay. All right. So do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we accept Khalif's products.
Motion by Julie, seconded by?
Come on, board.
Oh my God.
I'll second. Yeah, really. I'll second.
Seconded by David Anderson. Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Khalid, and
Thank you.
welcome to the VillageFest family.
Thank you.
Faith will work out with you offline after the meeting, or during the week. She'll work out with you about the orientation and what else needs to be done in order to get you situated. Okay.
Awesome. Awesome.
All right, we'll see you on the street.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I appreciate it. I'm so happy. Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
So-
So, okay.
You see, Dan, I think 5:30 is very late for people. They're getting sleepy.
Yeah. I think so too. I'm getting sleepy. All right. So the next vendor is, I'll do back to the list here, sorry.
Blissful Bees.
And that is whom?
Gladys.
Gladys, is that you? You're Blissful Bees? Gladys?
Is Gladys here?
Yes, she needs to
You're
unmute.
muted. Can you unmute?
There we go.
There.
Hello, good
Hi,
afternoon.
Gladys.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes to just tell us about your product and what you intend to do at VillageFest. Some of the board members may have questions, and then we'll deliberate a vote. Okay.
All right. So we are local beekeepers. My husband and I, he started being a beekeeper back in, 13 years with his father. And we recently, about our 3rd year with our, doing our own things, having our own hives here in the desert. We bring nothing but the best. We put nothing in our honey. It's all raw honey. I don't know if you can see this.
It's all natural, pure raw, straight from the comb to the bottle. We have over 100 hives right now. This year I'm working to have about 300 hives. And my dad has about 600 hives himself. So everything we do is all natural. We have from the 8-ounce bears, we have
To the 12-ounce.
12-ounce, 1 pound, and we have 6-pound jars.
Wow.
We also have honeycomb,
We
bee
have bee
pollen.
pollen, honey sticks.
Oh, love that. Very
I
nice.
also make hand cream made out of beeswax. People love my hand creams because nowadays, sanitizing every day is just killing our hands and drying our hands. So it's one of my top sellers. Also,
I agree.
we
Very
have.
hard water here.
I'm sorry.
Very hard water here, that's why.
Yeah.
We have wild alfalfa and orange blossom.
Beautiful.
Good.
So you have so they're flavored. Some of them are flavored.
Yes.
No, they're not
Oh.
flavored. What it is what we put the hives like the orange blossom. We put the hives in the orange groves, and that's how they're able to obtain that flavor.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The alfalfa, we have those bees in Blythe, and that's how they get the flavor from all. Because in Blythe, there's nothing but alfalfa fields everywhere, so that's how they obtain that flavor. And the wildflower, we put them in Coachella, and we just put them wherever there's just a bunch of flowers, and they're able to obtain all that flavor from all those flowers.
So I have a question. I love beehives. I love all that. I think it's fabulous that you're doing it and keeping the bees alive. Are you having any problem with those big bees yet? Those big killer bees?
No, thank God we haven't had any of those problems yet.
Do you hear where they're at or?
I hear they're up like in Washington, Alaska kind of area.
Uh-huh.
Oregon, I think I've heard, but down here, I mean,
Thank God.
not be having any problems with those. Yeah.
Good,
Hopefully
good.
they like cold weather and they won't be here. Okay, so Faith, it looks like we do have to add something though to their application. You mentioned something,
Hand lotion.
hand lotion, it's not on here. Are you intending to vend the hand lotion as well at the?
Right now, not as of right now. I am very busy with my honey. Maybe in the future. Right now, I don't even have a label for my hand cream. People buy it from me, like they'll know about it and they come to me. But no, I wouldn't. I really probably not now, to be
I'll
honest.
tell you why I'm asking, because if you want to add it later, you have to come back and be rejuried.
Okay.
If you want to put it on now,
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, we
then
don't
you
have.
can start
Right.
selling it. I
At
mean,
least,
Okay.
at least
All right.
when it's ready, you'll
you're
be.
planning to do it soon.
Sounds good.
David had a question?
Wouldn't we want to see the packaging and such for
That
the?
is true, that is true. You know what? You're right, David. I stand corrected. You're absolutely right.
Well, why
No, he
don't
means
you
the
appro-
packaging for the hand cream. We would want to see.
So Dan, why
Yeah.
don't you approve it with an on-site when the jar is ready, but you already have it approved?
Faith, does that make sense, or do we just leave it off since I have to come on anyway? Faith, Jasmine?
We'd have to approve the label and the packaging. You guys
Anyway,
have to approve
yeah.
it, yeah.
All right, so let's just leave it off, I guess, then at that point, because otherwise, why are we putting it on if it's not approved, right? David?
Another question, I'm assuming that the environmental health Riverside County thing means that they've already checked out the packaging and the processing and the preparation for, is that how that works? This is my
Yes.
being a newbie question. I
It's for
don't know.
ingestible food products, though.
It's what?
It's for ingestible food products, I believe. I don't believe that there's a Board of Health for hand creams, is there?
No, I meant for the bees. I wasn't sure. Is that what they do?
Oh, yeah.
So we have to get certified to. Do we have an inspector that goes out, checks out our hives, and checks out everything how we do?
Yeah.
And he approves of it.
Okay.
And they also tag them, right? They tag a code on them, don't they?
No,
No?
no, we have to label our own boxes with our own name in there.
Got it. Yeah.
That's how we find out like which ones are ours. We have to paint them a certain color if we want. We have to get like this stamp. It heats up and then it stamps the name into the box.
Good. Glad somebody's doing it.
I would just like to, I would like
Any
to
other-
confirm, is all of your honey local? None of it's being outsourced from other areas outside of the valley?
Nope. Like I have the hives. I have the alfalfa that's from Blythe. The wildflowers here from Coachella. The orange blossom is from Redlands. So it's all pretty much within like 50 miles.
Good.
And I don't like to grab nobody, like the honey that I do grab is from my dad, of course, because we have the same hives in the same places. So if I might be like a barrel low, he'll lend me a barrel and I'll just get back to him whenever I get my hives again. When I get the honey back up again, I just give it back to him. But other than that, I don't get it from nowhere else, just ours.
Good.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Chris?
No, I was just gonna say, I make a motion to accept Mr. Bees into the VillageFest family.
I'll second that, Chris.
Okay, motion from Chris Ramirez, seconded by Greg Roberts. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations and welcome
Thank
to the Village Fest family. And we're glad that you're doing what you're doing. It's such an
Yes.
important thing.
It
Thank
is.
you.
Proud to have you
Thank you.
there. Faith will work out all the details with you at some point because there's an orientation and such, and then she'll get you situated to get started whenever, okay?
Sounds
Okay,
good. Thank
thank
you
you
so
very
much.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Christy, you have been very patient, smiling the whole time, so you are up. Tell us about your music. Please unmute. There you go. Tell us
Yes,
about your
hi.
music. Hi.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Christy Huff, and I am a country pop singer-songwriter, originally from Arizona, based in Los Angeles, and I travel all around performing. I can play acoustic with my full band or a trio, and a trio would consist of a cajon and a guitar. And I've been able to open up for many different artists such as Toby Keith, Billy Currington, Jason Aldean, Dylan Scott, and I'm going to be opening up for John Party at the Boots in the Park Festival this coming March in Arizona. And I perform music, original music, as well as covers, and I play mainly country pop music, but I throw in, some Bon Jovi covers and things like that to kind of get the crowd going and having fun and everything. And yeah, I would love to play Village Fest just to, get my name out there more in Palm Springs area. And I think I do have, I don't know if you guys have the links or if you guys have already heard the links, but there should be links somewhere. I can also resend them if you would like, but my music is all on Spotify, Apple Music. I've got music videos on YouTube and everything like that. And yeah.
Awesome. So you're just planning on coming on for the season, or every Thursday for the season? How often do you want to be there?
Yes, I mean, as often as you guys would want to have me. I know it's a little bit different with music, but I seasonally would love to come, perform. It's not too bad of a drive. I'm used to driving a lot just being in LA, but at least I would be able to go, a distance to Palm Springs. So yeah.
Awesome. I move that we accept this entertainer into Village Fest.
I second.
Awesome.
Dan, you're muted.
You're muted, Dan.
Dan, you are muted.
No, I am not. There's a
Yep.
motion on the floor from Celia. Thank you. Seconded by Julie. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
I'm gonna abstain because I didn't get a chance to listen to it, but I'm sure it's great.
Okay, nice.
So do you know a country western man, a singer named Aaron Lewis?
I don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Yeah,
He's
I'll have to look him up.
yeah, look him up. He's going to be at my place on April 420.
Oh, cool. Okay. I'm going to definitely, I'll look up his music. That's awesome.
Okay. All right.
Well, we're
Awesome.
looking forward to
Congratulations,
having you
Christy.
on the street. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm excited.
I can't wait to see you perform. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Christy, for your patience. Okay, so Multi-Design Co. Who is that? Let's see. That would be Henrik. Henrik, can you unmute, please?
There.
I think.
Okay, Henrik has applied. He is a current vendor and he wants to add handmade cushions and handmade warmers, hand warmers. So Henrik, you want to just tell us a little bit about that? Just take a brief moment to tell us and then we'll ask questions and vote.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sounds good. Okay.
Yes. I'm also a tailor in the back, but I started to make these cushions because of pieces of scrap, organic linen, and organic fabrics, and also now started to use from the other vendors at Palm Springs VillageFest. So I wanted to make like decorative pillows that's handmade, one kind. So I started to make them. So there I have everything from, here's even Eaton shirts. And so these comes from the Connie who sells dresses at the VillageFest. So I stuffed these with hypoallergenic fillers. And yeah, that's it. And
Do you use
also,
buckwheat?
excuse me?
Do you use buckwheat for the
The buckwheat comes in these ones.
Ah, okay.
So this is organic buckwheat from the States that I buy. So these are a smaller version of the warmers that you can find today, but you can also put them in the freezer to make them cool. So it's basically a travel size, something that most of the visitor on Palm Springs VillageFest can buy if they live in Canada. Because they can buy anything from us because we have plants. So, and this is also organic linen and buckwheat. And yeah, fabrics from, I bring most of the organic linen and stuff from Sweden. I'm Swedish.
Beautiful
So
stuff.
I bring most of it when I'm there visiting, and yeah. And yeah.
I was gonna say, do you have different sizes? Are they all one, the pillows all one size?
They're all one size.
Okay.
And I even make patterns, draw on them. Well, I even make the pattern, the fabric myself. So this is a rubber print, but it's eco-friendly. So I use that as well when I build the fabrics, because if they're fabrics that I don't like, I make it myself, like this one as well. It's also rubber. They're all different.
They're beautiful and unique.
They are
But
beautiful.
I wanted to keep it because I mean, I love environment. I'm very keen about saving water. That's why we make the plants. So everything, even the soaps and everything that we have, I want to keep it close to nature. It should be organic as far as we can go. And yeah, that's me. It's me and Greta Thunberg.
David, question?
Maybe I'm not finding it, but I didn't see a price list. Did you include that?
Oh, no, I didn't. It's actually the same for every single one except for one. That is this one.
Yeah.
That one is 49. The other ones are 79 or 84 because there's a shit ton of work with them. And the small one is 25.
So can you remind us what you're a current vendor? What else is in your?
I
Terrariums.
sell
The
ecosystems.
Remember the
Oh, okay.
terrariums that are self-watering?
Yeah.
We were so
Oh,
excited
okay.
about the
So
kids.
I
with
sell
life on
these
it.
ones today. And also the handmade soaps and candle because I'm allergic like hell. So I have to make it myself. That's what I do.
You're very talented, I have to say.
Well, I mean, I actually won one big thing in Sweden, a TV show for the most creative person in Scandinavia. So I love to create stuff, but it has to be something that has to be with nature and environmental friendly. That's like
Love
number
that.
one for me.
I love that. That's so cool. Any questions from the board members? Can I get a motion?
I motion.
All right, David made the motion. Go ahead, David. Say it.
Yeah, I motion that we accept it. I love the creativity and everything behind it.
Can I get a second?
I'll make a second.
All of a second.
Duke it out.
And this is how where is it? This is the buckwheat.
Fine, how are you?
I actually asked you that because a friend of mine had a pillow business in New York and he used to do buckwheat knives, and it was a living, working loft, so I was around it all the time.
Yeah,
Very cool, though.
most of the pillows that you buy today, like when you go want a pillow to for your bed, they actually make the what's that in English?
Filling,
Yeah,
Stuffing?
the filling of it, or stuffing.
now what's around the apple? Like an apple or an orange?
Yeah,
The peel, the
The
peel.
peel, yeah. So they usually use the peel. This is the core of it. So it keeps heat and the cold much better.
Oh, okay, interesting. Well, we have a motion on the floor to accept this vendor. All in favor, aye? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No?
Come
Okay,
on.
congratulations.
Thank
Welcome
you.
back to Village. No, actually, we look forward to seeing these products at your booth. I love your booth, by the way, because I've been by there to see it. It's great.
Thank you. We're a work in progress, but we're gonna make it neat.
And Faith, in a case like this, he could just add it to his booth starting next week, or is there any other formality?
Yep, that's it. You can start selling it this week.
Well, there you go. Okay.
Great. I
Okay,
have
Henrik, thanks so much.
37.
Excellent.
Well, thank you so much
Thank you.
and have a fantastic evening. I'm gonna keep making pillows now.
Okay. All right. Okay, guys, so moving right along here.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much,
Thank
Henrik.
you.
Have a great evening. Okay, so it looks like we hit one. We hit everybody on the list, so we're done. Unfinished business, Village Fest birthday. You're on, Jasmine. Or Faith, whoever wants to talk about it.
Well, yeah, we were talking about, I think, there we go, doing it the end of March, the 31st, was it, Jasmine? Yes, the
Right.
31st.
Yeah, so Faith and I discussed some options. Obviously, currently the city is still closed down. And we're a little hesitant, while the Village Fest is approved to continue, to kind of enhance the event in any way seems a bit, it seems like a bit of a challenge. And in order to try and stay within, the city guidelines and not do too much while the city is considered closed, we thought about just shifting it a few weeks. It does seem like maybe in the next week or two, the city's facilities will reopen. And then based on conversation that council will have on Thursday at their council meeting, there may be some changes that happen regarding events as a whole. So we just thought maybe we would delay it a couple weeks. And I was telling Faith that additionally, the Rowan Hotel is planning an event on March the 31st, and they are doing a drone show that will take place right outside of the new park downtown, and that we could do a little bit of a cross promotion with them in order to kind of encourage people to come out and watch their show, and they would also encourage people to come out and celebrate our 30th anniversary. So it just kind of lined up that way. I thought it might be a good idea if we could, do a little bit of cross promotion with them in order to enhance our event. What Faith did a little research, and she found a vendor who she would like to support, who's one of our Village Fest vendors, who can do cookies in a bag. So everything will be prepackaged and we don't have to worry about any transmitting of anything back and forth. So, and then we're also supporting our own vendors, which is nice as well, and not a big business. So if that's okay, if the board would like to go that route and distribute cookies instead of cupcakes this year, and then maybe just add some additional live entertainment for Talkwoods Canyon. And that's
I
kind
love
of
that
some of the thought
idea.
we had.
And if any of the other vendors take exception to it, we have an anniversary every year, so they're all welcome to step up and make an offer for their product in subsequent years. Okay.
So yeah, that's just some of the thoughts that we had in order to still, still hold the event, but also hold it responsibly, and make sure that anything that is, going to be out in the public is in a positive light, and that we're being responsive to the current pandemic.
Okay. Did you want the board to take a vote to approve using one of our vendors, or you were just saying that's what you're doing is like, unless we take exception?
Well, no, it doesn't need to be approved, but you know, we're obviously open to conversation. We've just done some of the groundwork in terms of, you know, getting some costs together, feasibility of them being able to assist us. We haven't committed to anything. We obviously want to present that to the board first and foremost. And if there's any concerns or thoughts, you can let us know, and Faith and I can go back to the drawing board.
Jasmine, if you choose a vendor to supply the cookies, will you promote the vendor, or will you just buy their cookies and give them out?
Well, I believe in supporting our vendors. So if they, you know, wanted to put some sort of little tag on their cookies, absolutely, I would be fine with that.
Okay, good.
I like the idea of anchoring it with the Rowan. It sounds like that's going to be a pretty exciting event. So I think it'll draw more people.
I like that too. Yeah.
Do we know what event the Kimpton is having, like what occasion that is? Because that sounds pretty neat.
I can send you some information. It is, they're holding something at the top floor of theirs where the pool is located. But they're going through the city because obviously it's going to be the drone show that they're putting on is going to be a very, very cool drone show. And it's taking place obviously in public space. So they have to come to the city for approval. But I don't know the details of their event right now.
But it's a private event that somebody's doing in the high bar up on the roof.
Mhm.
It's not an open, okay.
Right.
Very cool. All right. I guess unfinished business, it's not listed here. The other thing is, you know, we talked several times about we were getting certificates for like Dottie for serving as the board chair for so long. I know that was in the making. Is that happening? Is there anything we do with that? Maybe the anniversary is the time to present it. I don't know.
We could absolutely, if you wanted to utilize that time, we could absolutely do that. I'm pretty sure, Faith, didn't we order something? Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's definitely happening, or we need to get approval?
No, I want, obviously we have to take it to the board. If the board approves, you know, that you would like to move forward with celebrating on that particular day, I'm going to get approval from the city manager's office just because of the COVID situation.
Okay.
But I do want, you know, the board has to be in support of it.
So we'll talk about it at a subsequent meeting then. That'll be fine. Just raise it again. Okay. All right, that's all I have. Anybody else unfinished business, new business, anything? No? Are there any
A couple comments actually?
Yes.
Just a few things. So the Instagram is now live. There was a few posts that I created over this past week. And so the first post was basically just information about timing and the inclusivity of the event and kind of all the logistics. And then basically the strategy just all the way throughout is going to highlight new and existing businesses and kind of do a little bit of, you know, photos and like narrative. And then definitely try to sprinkle in some food vendors too. And I know as the food and entertainment recruitment is kind of, I think, a topic moving forward, that could be kind of fun as well, as to kind of highlight more food. And, you know, food usually brings the culture and usually brings the people as well. So we can all be, you know, pretty active in that realm. The other 2 points, I guess, were just observations. The first was regarding parking and towing. So this came from a few Palm Springs residents. They were out eating at Tommy Bahama, right in front there on Palm Canyon. And on Thursdays, there's signage that does say you can't park there and your car will be towed. A lot of the comments that came in recently were in regards to cars being towed with like Washington license plates or out of town license plates. So whether these are out of towners or renters or visitors, you know, just something interesting to kind of think about. I don't know if there's little flags or, temporary little things morning of. I know that's extra work, but just something that I guess I just wanted to bring forth and make a comment that was something that was noticed, was cars being towed, and it looked like a bunch of out-of-towners with different license plates.
Chris, I'm not following. Is the implication here that they came well before the 5 o'clock shutdown of the street, and they were parked and they were eating, so they were there for a while, and then their car got towed?
So I think
They couldn't have gotten in once they closed the street.
Yeah, so I think like right around, yeah, I'll have to I guess follow up at that. But I know a lot of cars, I guess, were getting towed, but it did seem like there were a lot of out of town, perhaps rental cars or visitors. So unless, these people came in for the day, they didn't maybe notice the signs, they still parked there. And then I guess they come back and their car's towed, but just, I guess, something that I just wanted to make a comment in regards.
Unfortunately, it is very common. We do tow, anywhere from like 3 to 6 cars every week to clear VillageFest for vendors. I am working we did have a situation where we had 2 vehicles who fought a towing that happened. They're both out of towners. And we're going to reimburse them just based on the pictures that PD took, and the parking signs weren't as adequately placed as they could be. So I'm working with engineering just to make sure that, that the signs are placed exactly where they should be, so that it is more visible. It's unfortunate that downtown Palm Springs has a lot of signage. So if you look, you may miss it because you read the 3 other signs and not that particular one. Right. Additionally, something that we implemented, I want to say before the pandemic, was we have the police will go up and down the street. They make at least 3 loops, and they say on the intercom, please move your vehicles, Palm Springs, VillageFest will start at this time. And then they make their way up and down the street to try and get people to come out of restaurants or bars so that they can move their cars. It's not, it is helpful, but we still have cars that we tow every week.
What time do they put out signage saying that you have to move your car after, was it 5 o'clock?
The signage is permanent. The signage, I mean, if you go down there now, it's there. We have some temporary signage that we put up near, that we put up on Amato Road. But other than that, the signage downtown for VillageFest is permanent.
Permanent, right. Okay.
Personal responsibility.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Cool. And then the second note came in via a message on Instagram to the Palm Springs VillageFest. It was a local home and design store. They reached out and mentioned that there was an entertainment vendor. I don't believe he had permits, but he was trying to play in between a couple vendors, and he captured a video. Yeah, so I guess that topic was around security, or maybe, how do we cross-check vendors or people showing up maybe who haven't gone through the appropriate process through the VillageFest board, and that just might show up. I know there's been a couple vendors who have also, wanted to come day of, and, so obviously that's not happening, but is that something that security goes through and checks, or, has there been an issue in the past with entertainment or maybe vendors popping up that haven't gone through the appropriate process?
We have the animal rights people who show up.
Yeah, that's been awful.
Yeah, as long if they're not in VillageFest in the street, there's not much I can do. If they're on
sidewalks, public space, yeah.
The sidewalks, the policeman. I know that there is not a vendor, but a gentleman that comes and plays guitar. It's kind of by the food court, but he's on the sidewalk by West Elm. I can't do anything about that, so I don't know if that was the entertainer. But no, I walk the street every week, and just a few weeks ago, a girl was out there selling makeup in front of Sephora. Like table. She had fake
very enterprising, I have to
say.
Yeah.
So, and then the vendor next to her just took a picture, and I walked over to them. I said, when you see this, you need to just let me know. Oh, I was going to email you. I was like, well, I need to know that night, so that they're not there selling their makeup all night. So I do walk the street, and I know the vendor. So if I see something, and And if there is an entertainer that's in the street, I tell them
cool.
they have to at least get out of VillageFest. They can't be in the street, and
Cool.
the police are the ones that will take care of the sidewalk. So
Are we sure that the entertainer that they were referring to is not an approved one? Because, you know, that is one of the woes of us being on social media. Everybody's a keyboard warrior, you know, I hate this is wrong, this is bad, I saw that, you know, when in reality, a lot of it is just noise. So we have to, now I feel bad for you. We did this because you're gonna get a lot.
oh goodness. Well,
Trust me,
there are
I know
certain-
how to filter it out.
Yeah, we do have certain spaces, only certain spaces that we do assign our entertainment to.
Okay.
Cool.
Like I think 4 or 5 in the event. We have one in the farmer's market, we have Andreas, we have Takowitz, and we haven't had it down La Plaza. We do one, and then we haven't had one down towards Baristo because we're not all the way down there yet. So
Yeah.
Perfect.
yeah,
Well,
there's only certain spaces, but you're welcome to always shoot me an email and let me know, is this a picture or whatever, and I can let you know and keep an eye out for it as well, you know, the next week. So
For sure. And thank you for the clarification. I think just having a better understanding of what to maybe, you know, pass along, I guess.
right,
in the
which
future.
area I can, you know, kind of say something too. So
Sounds good.
they do now, they will pop in there and start doing that. It does happen. They just can't be in the street. So
Right. All right. Thank you, Faith.
thank you.
That's it for you, Chris?
That's it for me, Dan.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, so there's no reports, right? There's no Main Street comments because Joy didn't make it, and there's no staff reports either. Vendor recruitment, I'm sorry, no, there is vendor recruitment.
So yeah, I touched a little bit on it. Faith and I met last week and we were just talking about things that we can do to improve the event. And one of a struggle that she mentioned she's having is really kind of filling in the south end post reopening from our COVID closure. So we talked about Faith personally doing some vendor recruitment, which she's done in the past, where she'll go out to events and pass out flyers and business cards to really try and generate some more interest and participation at the event. We've also utilized the board in the past to attend events that kind of were in the valley, where you all would go out and kind of promote the event and try and gain some interest. If you saw a particular artist that would get approved through the board's process, we'd hand out, you know, our flyers and really talk up the event and try and gain some more interest. So Faith is gonna do a little research on her end of events that she can attend. And also just encourage the board if there, I mean, I saw that there's, I believe this weekend, there's an event in Indian Wells, an art festival. So I thought maybe I could go out on Sunday and try and get some vendor participation. But if you see events that you'd be willing to go to, we would encourage you to. If there's a cost associated, you can let us know, and VillageFest can reimburse you for that cost for participation in some vendor recruitment. But whatever we can do to start gaining some more interest so we can get back to a place where the event is full is the kind of hope and dream for Faith and I at this point.
I was out at College of the Desert after they opened, and we had a vendor who was in VillageFest. She did these really cool scarves, and she's making leather handbags that are really unique. And I approached her and said, you know, why aren't you selling at VillageFest? Because she was approved. And she said she didn't want to, it was too hot, and she didn't want to wear a mask. So I told her that we don't have the mask mandate. And I encouraged her to come back through you. And she said she would. So I think there are some people that just kind of need to be informed that, you know, we're not requiring vendors to wear masks again.
Absolutely.
Do we have an email list of, you know, we were totally chock full at one point, right? So we know who all those vendors were. I don't know if it'll take a little bit of work to do this, but do we actually have an email list where we can maybe do a mail merge or do, you know, like blind copy where we send it to a few people and saying to them, you know, you were a merchant at VillageFest. We'd like to welcome you to, you know, reapply. We have capacity at this point to accommodate you, and if you have any interest, contact us. Is there something like that that we could do? Because I'm confused by something, actually very confused by this, which is we were so full right? We had so many vendors. They were banging down our door before. Now we have nothing, and it can't be the same syndrome as all the people quitting their jobs. That's people quitting corporate jobs and jobs where they don't feel appreciated or creative enough or anything. Those people, I would think, are funneling into doing their own thing in some of this. So I would think we would have at least people from that syndrome rather than lose people because of that syndrome. But why do we think? Do we think possibly some people are still pretty much locked down, and because we've had yet another surge, through the holidays, or why do we think that we're not getting that kind of people applying? Or
yeah, the participation that we're used to. To be honest with you, I think a lot of companies, small businesses kind of went under. It wasn't, a lot of markets were closed for 6 months to a year. So the people who were dependent on markets as their way of life weren't able to, and they actually have gone back into the workforce and less able to do this type of event. They're probably their passion projects. I'll tell you that from the event perspective of all of our events that have taken place post-COVID, everything is down. Pride was down significantly. I know that any participation in all of our parades that took place were at least 30% down from previous years. While those aren't markets, it's definitely a significant hit in terms of just people participating in activities that normally they would participate in. So I don't think this is a long-term thing. I think we're used to vendors coming to us. I think this is going to just be a time frame in which we have to go back out and advocate for our event and really try and regain that engagement that we previously had. Typically at this time of the year, Faith would be turning vendors away, just saying, we'll put you on our wait list, our events at capacity, and we're not there. It's okay. We just are going to have to do a little more footwork to try and regain that interest. And I think probably next year at this time, we'll be back into a rhythm that we're used to.
Should we?
Jasmine, are we at?
Sorry, Greg, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, are we at 60%, 70%, 50%? Can you give us an idea of?
Based on what we have now, I'd probably say around 60 to 65. There's still a pretty significant portion of the second phase reopening that is not at a place where we want to. And that is also including, we were already going to lose some spaces due to parklets. But even with those there, we're still down fairly significantly.
We were worried about not fitting.
Right. Yeah. Now we have a different problem.
I was the biggest complainer about that. Faith, do you know approximately how many active vendors we have that come and display at this point? Yeah, 160, 170.
I would say probably about 150.
And our full capacity is 275, right? Ish.
That's a little high. We're probably close to about 200.
Yeah.
And it kind of just depends on, like, if we include talk with, then we get some additional
Right.
spaces in there.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're normally right around 200, a little bit over.
Right. Yeah. I would say we're probably between 125 and 150. It depends, because some vendors, newer ones, they'll come try it out. If it doesn't work for them, it's not the event they thought, and things like that. So it's all fluctuating.
But on a Thursday night, like on this Thursday night, about how many vendors you think will be on the street ish? Just take a wild guess.
I would say about 125.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This is probably on
I would guess one more question. So is there any merit, Jasmine, to us putting out a call to action, let's say on Instagram and on our Facebook page? Just a nice thing that says, welcoming all vendors. We actually have additional capacity at this point, something like that. Or do we not want to do it that way? Is that cheesy? I guess I
don't think so. I think that's what social media is for, to use it as an outlet for communication. I think we should be very particular in the language that we use, because I do want to also make sure that the vendors that we recruit or the vendors that we reach out to are vendors that are going to get approved. there's often times where people come to the board and think that they're going to get approved for a product that does not fit within to our current rules and regulations, and then we have to turn them down. So, maybe some sort of language that's, that we're seeking new and exciting artists and artisans, but very particular about the wording so that we don't end up with a bunch of string jewelers that would all get denied because their product is not 75% handmade.
Chris, can you put something like that together? I'm gonna get to you.
Really, yeah. I was just looking at
something
the-
for us, and
and then I could, yeah.
And do we have a fact sheet for, because if he puts it on there, he's gonna get a lot of questions back to him, right? Like, what does it cost? Or do we have a fact sheet?
I would, Chris, if you put something together that you would like, if you send it to me, we'll just add a small blurb at the bottom so that we can encourage people to either go to the website for information or
Direct the
call
questions
the office for
directly,
details.
Okay.
I don't want you to get into a whole second job of trying to answer questions that could
That's my
easily
point.
be answered via our website or our office.
Right, I think
This
that's
is
a
kind
great
enough
idea.
to do this. Yeah, we don't want to inundate.
For what it's
Hold on
worth,
one
I,
second, Greg, because David's, all right, no, go ahead, Greg. David's
I was gonna say, for what it's worth, I've noticed that there are some vendors, and I guess this is capitalism at its best, who are wildly popular. And there seems to be always a crowd in front of their areas, such that people who might stop don't because of the crowd. The question that comes to my mind is, if they had a bigger space, could we accommodate more people and spread out a little more? And then the inverse of that is, there's some vendors, one in particular I've noticed, two young ladies who were doing their own tanning of leather. I think they were Danish or Swedish, or I talk to them every week. I'm usually there every week. I talk to them and they've left. I have not seen them. They've said that things just haven't been good for them and they weren't selling. So is there an opportunity in that to expand some of the more popular vendors and maybe do something to help those who are struggling a little bit? Just a thought.
Yeah, we do encourage the event because of how the event is right now, that we are not at capacity. We do encourage the vendors, if there's space around them, to spread out if they have like an additional tent, or to spread out off to the side. And you'll see the area there right there around Starbucks and between H&M and all that, a lot of the vendors there will have 2 tents and they'll fill that space in, the artists with their bigger pieces. So we do encourage everyone to spread out to look more full.
I think we have to also be careful, though, to not increase the allotment of space officially.
Right,
to-
no, they
to any
do,
of
they
the vendors,
are,
because
yeah,
that increases for all of them, and then
Right.
that's the problem we have before, is we didn't fit. So-
right. No,
David,
that
you've
is,
been so
they are
patient.
aware, yeah, they do know that it's temporary. Once we get full, that they wouldn't have that additional space.
David, you've been very, very patient. He
No,
raised his hand before
thoughts.
everybody else was yapping, so hold on, Chris, 1 second. Go ahead, David.
Two thoughts. One, in regards to this, what if we made it a big promotional deal or something and celebrated it with the birthday or some other event and said, we're ready to go into phase 2, or there's now room for expansion, to make it sound like it's like we don't have enough, but we don't want to make it sound desperate, like you said, Dan. Or maybe it could be
Great point.
on the birthday celebration. If
Right.
you apply that month, you get a discount on the application fees, or I don't know. That was just, I like the idea where we're going with it.
You
to
know,
help
that's a
expand.
great idea. I don't know that I would waive the application fee, because then you get all the crazies coming and applying for anything,
Oh,
right?
or lower it maybe, or something.
Okay. Or maybe say,
Promotion.
if they're approved, give them the guidelines, and if they're approved, that we could credit their application fee back to their first payment or something like that. Jasmine, is that even an option? Because I know that we're kind of chartered with all of our stuff at this point, so.
Yeah, so any sort of waiving of fees would have to go through city council. So the board doesn't have the purview, or staff doesn't have the purview to waive any fees that are implemented by city council. So we'd have to have a staff report written up and a request sent to them. It's not a problem. We can do it. We do just need to come up with a plan of action so that I can write it into a staff report to get before them.
So any ideas for a carrot to dangle? Because that's where David was going, right?
But to follow up on David's comment and promote this event a little bit more, is it a possibility to promote a vendor weekly or highlight someone or give some press around something like that to maybe attract people? What comes to my mind is I don't know if you all have noticed Mama's Boy's cookies. Not only is his cookies fantastic, but he constantly has a major crowd at his table. He's an entertainer and he's a great cookie baker. But I just think to promote something like that and bring that to everybody's attention might bring new faces down to VillageFest. And just a thought.
Chris, is that something that's feasible to do on Instagram? I know we always talked about doing it on the website and we never got to it because no one has the time for it, unfortunately. But Chris, any ideas on that? If we want to tap on social media, promote, sort of create a buzz, get some excitement, draft people in without having to be a fire sale. Just like David said, we don't want to sound desperate, right?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. 100%, I think highlighting, these exciting vendors that we want to draw people as well out to the street. And, we can also highlight those new and existing vendors. But then I also I think doing this in unison with perhaps the birthday celebration could, just be another piece of marketing as well, where, I don't know if we did want to put it, through the city council where it's like a first month free, but at the very least, I think co-branding something, or at least, in that same week of highlighting the excitement, the birthday, new vendors, phase 2, like you mentioned, David, could be a great idea. But 100%, Greg, I think highlighting vendors just more and more, maybe throughout the week. On the stories, so on Instagram, you can do posts which live on, and then stories which live for 24 hours. There are people that constantly kind of post, like even today, there was a few people that posted saying like, we'll be out at the vendor fair on Thursday. So I just reposted that on the story. So you can see that on there. One question I was gonna have, Faith and Jasmine, I think it was Vintage Printage. They're one of our newest vendors, just about a month out, but they had asked if there was a way to even submit payment for application fees via online versus just traditional, I think, check, because she was saying that that might help and just be easier for more people coming from Pasadena fairs. And, if there's more kind of online, I guess, just clear channels to submit payment versus just, through traditional check. That was just some feedback that I just remembered that came up in regards to just vendor recruitment. I don't know if that would help, doing some sort of streamlined process online.
They should be able to submit their application online too.
Right.
They can email their application to me and they're able to send a check. I know that is, I believe that's something that is in the process with the system that we use to be able to take payments online, but it's not something that we are able to do right now.
Can you create a Venmo account or whatever, the Zelle, some of those things?
Unfortunately, we can't.
I don't write a check anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't. We have to stay within the guidelines of whatever the city is doing and whatever program that the city has. And bureaucracy at its best takes a very long time to implement such projects. We're always kind of just behind a day behind everybody else. But yes, we are working towards that. I know that our current system that our department uses has the ability. We have not implemented that into action yet. It is going to be implemented and we will have that ability. I'm hoping that by the fall of 2022, we'll have that all implemented and people will be able to make payments online, independently of Faith having to implement them by hand, as well as, you know, kind of those traditional methods of making payments will still be accepted.
Can I ask that you just send that message up the flagpole? Because something tells me a guy like Justin Clifton is going to go, we're not doing that. Why aren't we doing that? Let's
Right.
make it happen, right? So is that possible, Jasmine, for you to just send that request up and say that we have gotten requests from vendors to both submit the applications online, but definitely about payment? That seems to be a sticking point.
Yep, not a problem.
That'd be good.
Great.
Yeah.
Point, if I may. I happen to have the opportunity finally to go spend a Thursday last week at VillageFest. And I'm off again tomorrow because of COVID from my other job. But anyway, I'm fine. But the fact is, with so much turnover in the hospitality industry right now, there are front desk clerks at all the hotels, the Hyatt being the biggest one, because they're right there in the beginning, that have front desk clerks that have no idea what's going on outside. I stood there because a friend of mine, as acting general manager, came in from out of town because they can't find anybody. And nobody knew what was going on outside. The hours, the concept, how to describe it. The probably similar things. I don't think the retail people would necessarily want that. Maybe they would. But hosts and hostesses at restaurants have their stands there and people are walking by saying, oh, you know, what is that? Do they know how to answer it properly? And perhaps, and I know this is a lot of work for somebody because I'm not ready to do it, but can somebody do a fact sheet to hand out maybe once a month to each of those businesses that are probably being asked questions, but because of turnover and the changes in the economy, they have untrained people. They don't know what to say. I experienced it myself last week.
Wow.
You mean the person didn't know that to say that's VillageFest?
They know it's called VillageFest. That's all they know.
Okay.
They don't even call it VillageFest. Or he kept calling
Street
it
fair. They call it
a
street
street
fair.
fair or a festival
street
or some kind of a sale. I mean, they did the stuff I heard was just like, I actually started taking over and talking to all the new guests that were checking in.
Well, you know, we should be able to get a message out through Main Street, really, right?
That sounds more like it should be the Hospitality Association, which I work with, so that's not a problem. But maybe creating a frequently asked questions, kind of really simple one with times and dates and you know when parking's enforced and things of that nature. We
I
can
have
do.
an idea.
Yeah.
What
that's not
if
a,
we
we
do
can
that? What if we do that on our website and we create a QR code that goes to that and we do little VillageFest like calling card type things, right? Have a stack of them, drop them at the restaurants and the hotels and things. We'll get a lot more people coming, right? Because people in the hotels sometimes don't even know about it. And possibly, you know, and then the QR code would bring them right to the fact. And then we don't have to be bringing a lot of pieces of paper everywhere, right?
Yeah, we could do a QR code for sure. That's sent
Signs on the corners,
website.
maybe like a temporary sign that's on like a cone, a sign sticking up that says "Welcome to VillageFest" with a QR code. So again, people passing by going to restaurants, they can just QR code it.
We could do both. We could do QR codes that go to the hotels as well, so that you know people could post it up if they have questions. But I do understand that the Hospitality Association does have quite a bit of turnover. So we used to attend an annual event where it was just the hospitality personnel, frontline workers who would come to it to make sure they had all the adequate information regarding all restaurants, and VillageFest was one of them that attended, so that we made sure everyone, you know, the front desk person at the Hyatt had all the information about VillageFest and it was correct, but they haven't had that since COVID. So we do need to do a little work to make sure that frontline employees are adequately equipped with all the correct information regarding our event.
The online news blog, Palm Springs Post, every Thursday mentions the VillageFest.
They do.
I would think it would be great if we could get them to add a little bit more to say what it is.
And the them is one guy. It's just one person who's
Uh-huh.
taken it upon himself, and he's looking for subscribers. And I think, if people subscribe to that, to his, basically a blog, if they subscribe to it, then I think he could be more detailed, maybe hire employees and that sort of thing. But
I agree, Celia. It's a great, a lot of people read it. Yeah.
I read it every day.
Me too. Me too.
Nice. Cool. Well, I could reach out as well to the Palm Springs Post, because I know they have like a pretty active social media as well. But then I think the FAQ posts and things like that are just good ideas that we can also kind of sprinkle in throughout the week. Just kind of, getting people and tourists and maybe local businesses just kind of, being a squeaky wheel with these like FAQs, that will kind of drip maybe like every couple days throughout the weeks. I think could also be helpful. So that's good. I'll make a note.
Good.
All right, so for vendor recruitment, just to wrap this up, Chris, you're gonna draft maybe just a little quick announcement.
Yes.
Go out possibly, and then send it off to Jasmine and to us, and we'll all take a look.
Sounds great.
Anything else that are action items from this meeting for that topic at this point?
I'm looking at your text, Dan.
I bet you enjoy it.
It's against the rules, so I better share it
You
with
see
everybody.
You see the print behind David of the Touch? I just sent him this meme. It's a meme of that print, but one of the hands has a glove and hand sanitizer.
Now I'm gonna look at that all the time and think I'm not going to Italy now.
Yep. All right. So any other action items for us, Jasmine or Faith? No. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all. It looks like we have done well with this meeting. Are we ready to adjourn? Anybody have anything else? No? A motion? Anybody make a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Okay. So moved by
I will
Greg,
second.
seconded by Chris. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
I miss you all already terribly. Be well. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Great evening. Bye-bye.